I think prepared remarks will never do justice to decades of leadership in higher ed and innovation that Scott Cowen represents, but I'll do my best. Scott S. Cowen is President Emeritus of Tulane University and a distinguished presidential visiting professor of management and leadership here at Case. Scott served as dean at Weatherhead for a number of years in the 80s and 90s, and in 1998 took his talents to run Tulane University for 14 years. In Tulane, Scott led Tulane through the most trying period of its history when in 2005, August, Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, as we all know. But what we don't know is that it flooded 70% of Tulane's uptown campus and all of the buildings in downtown Health Sciences campus. Scott was not only widely praised for bringing Tulane back, but he integrated public service into the university's core curriculum and then transformed New Orleans' K-12 public school and healthcare systems after the storm. In order to make sure that his name is at the top of the annals of leading universities through difficult times, then Scott came back to serve as interim president of Case Western during COVID in 2020 to 2021 before handing off the reins to Eric Kaler, our current president. You're not surprised that Scott is a recipient of several national awards for leadership, and as well as honorary degrees from nation's top institutions, including Notre Dame, Brown University Yeshiva, University of Connecticut, and most importantly, Case Western Reserve University. Scott's also been named one of the top college presidents in the nation by Time Magazine, and the author most recently of Winnebagoes on Wednesdays, How Visionary Leadership Can Transform Higher Ed. He's a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and was a member of White House Council for Community Solutions, where he advised President Obama on the needs of disconnected youth. Scott received his bachelor's degree from University of Connecticut and his master's and doctorate in business administration from GW University. It is my esteemed pleasure and honor to welcome my colleague and friend, Scott Cowen. Scott.
Thank you, Andrew. I want to bring you on the road with me every time I go. First of all, I want to start by saying how absolutely delighted I am here to be back at Case Western Reserve and Cleveland. I spent 23 years here before I then left to go to New Orleans and to Tulane, where I spent 23 years. So since it was the same, I figured, you know what, I think I'll have more of Cleveland and Case Western than I will of Tulane, so I'm delighted to be here. I'm also extraordinarily proud of everyone in this room today because you are here and because you are developing a vision and a mission for ETA and for the Weatherhead School, for Cleveland, that I think is absolutely unbelievable, and one that will really, I think, get attention all over the country, not just here in Cleveland. I'm also very proud of Andrew. Andrew, since he's been co-dean with one other colleague, has developed a transformation plan. The first time I can think that they've had a transformation plan here at the Weatherhead School in many years. The plan, obviously, the most important part of it is the ETA itself. But most of all, I'm glad to be involved with it because of Richard. Richard was my friend, he was my mentor. Without him, I would have never been able to do all the things I did at Case Western Reserve University. And I'm reminded of a comment someone once made to me. They say, when you die, no one ever remembers you for what you did for yourself. They only remember you for what you did for others. This is what he did for others. We would not be here today if it was not for Richard. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Richard. I remember meeting him when I came, and I was 30 years old. And I met him in the men's room. He asked me, "Who are you?" I said, I'm Scott Cowen. I'm an assistant professor. What are you doing here? I said, I'm teaching. He said, someday come by and see me. I said, okay. So I go by and see him. From that day on, we were friends. And not just friends at the university, friends outside. His lovely wife is right here with us, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, would you stand up? And I was thinking, as I was coming up here today, if Richard was here today, what would he be most proud of? And I've come to the conclusion, it starts with the 65 heroes that have developed businesses over the past years since this existed. 65. And he'd be so pleased to see that this is now integrated into what the Weatherhead School of Management will be doing and the university will be doing. I also wonder what his vision for the future would be. And that is, if there were 65 the last number of years, let's double and triple it. Because I think that is really, really important. You are all the next generation. And what I worry about the next generation, whether it's here in Cleveland or someplace else, is that we have people with the vision and the mission to really raise the bar, to make us really, really something. I remember when I talked to Andrew, I said to Andrew when he was the dean, I said, okay, what's your elevator speech? He said, what's an elevator speech? I said, tell me why I should come to the Weatherhead School of Management and do it right now. Well, let's put it this way. At the beginning, he didn't know the answer. He knows the answer now. And this is part of it. Because what I want for all of you is, I want you all to be successful. I want Cleveland to be successful. I want Case Western Reserve to be successful. And it will only come about because of all of you. I miss Richard, I have to say. He was the best mentor I ever had in my life, and he's the best leadership I've ever seen in my life. Think about that. How many of you in this room were mentored in one way or another by Richard? Let me see hands. Look around the room. Those of you who haven't, you're learning from those who did. And he was the epitome of leadership. Not because he had a fancy title or he read a business. It was by example. And by example, he all brought us to a better place in our business and in our life. So that's why I came back to Cleveland, because people ask me, why did you do this? And I said, because first of all, I love Cleveland, I love Case Western Reserve, and I love the Weatherhead School. But I'd like to see it, be even better than it is. I think the vision we have today, with Andrew in the school, and what we're doing with Promise Partners, as they've always been excellent, and listening to all the speakers about what we're going to do, I think is just fabulous. So what I wish for all of you is the very best. And to remember what Richard would say along the way. And what he would say along the way is let's just keep making this bigger for everybody, not just one person, but for everybody. And what I'm hoping is in another year from now or 2 years from now, we'll have another event like this, and the room will be twice as large, because we'll just knock out the wall over there and do that there. But I'm proud of all of you. I'm proud of you. You are all the next generation of Richard. Nobody will ever be Richard, but you're as close to it as it gets. Thanks very much.